really, I would even say it's really not going to be doable to stick with it or to go all in and go all out and be dedicated. You have to really have a focused, concentrated, positive, limitless type of mindset to really succeed in life and whatever you do.
Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stevenson, the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations, it's Audley Stevenson here, and I'm back with another edition of the most audacious podcast the internet has to offer. You've got it locked to the Audacious Living Podcast, and it continues to be my ongoing pleasure and goal to help our listeners live their best audacious lives ever. This is episode 236 of the podcast, and it's great to have you as we dive into a dialogue about health and fitness and how the right mindset can contribute to the achievement of your fitness goals. Roman Fischer is a high-performance coach who's focused on helping others meet their health and fitness goals, and it was really great to chat with him. Fabulous conversation that I think you'll all appreciate. So, without any further ado, here's Roman Fischer. Enjoy. Hey, Roman, thank you for joining me today here on the Audacious Living Podcast. It is an absolute pleasure to have you hang out like this. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Good, cool. Well, I very much, and I just love this podcast, the ability to have great conversations with great individuals about really, really important topics. And, as a coach, or more specifically as a high performance coach, that works to help people sort of get to that better place. And the vehicle that you do that is fitness. I think it's in helping people sort of meet their fitness goals. I think it's fabulous. And so maybe as a starting point, I get you to expand further on the work that you do with individuals.
Yeah. So right now it's been mainly just, obviously with training, you can do it in person, but really for the most part, it's really just been virtually. And so what I do is I do it remotely, of course, and I do it one-on-one with each and every client that, works with me. And what's really cool is I just put together a customized meal plan and customized fitness training program. So that way they get the best of both worlds. So they're not just getting their, obvious workout needs taken care of, but their fitness needs with the nutritional aspect too. And that's the, biggest part of it. Most people think, oh, I just got to lift weights or do some cardio or both, and then I'm good. But if you don't have that nutrition dialed in the proper way, you're not going to really meet your fitness goals like you want. And it's going to take a lot longer because nutrition really, to be honest, is at least 80% of the whole entire, cake, if you will. No pun intended.
I'm a cake fan, so you got my attention there. No, and you're right. I think sometimes the importance of the nutritional component is often forgotten about. Like, you just figure sweat, food, muscls, being all that kind of, they bang, hangry, lift weights, all that kind of stuff. But the nutrition, I didn't realize it was 80%, which is
Oh yeah.
So that's actually pretty. That's how it shows how important it truly is.
Yeah, I always like to say too, and it's kind of funny, but you can't outrun the fork. So no matter, especially if you're trying to lose weight, no matter, how much you're lifting, what you're lifting, and how long you're in the gym with cardio, weights, and everything, you can't, burn off enough calories if you're eating too much. Like if you're always eating more than you're burning off, you can't outrun it. It's inevitable. You're going to just keep gaining weight, or at best, you're going to maintain that weight and you won't really lose.
Makes sense. So what got you on the path that you're on now?
The what?
The path. What got you there?
Oh, yes, the path. So that is a really, deep journey that we can dive into. So it really consists of a few things. One of them being just, my brother, my younger brother, in fact, he started weightlifting when I was about 15 years old. I'm 25 now, so that was a little bit ago, but yeah, about a decade ago. And he started lifting weights. He was always not very muscular, just like me. We were both pretty skinny in our younger, earlier years of our lives. And seeing him lift the weights though, and get that transformation from being more skinny to just more strong and muscular, and, with that lean muscle, that really encouraged me and motivated me, and it really inspired me to want to pick up the weights myself then, after seeing that gradual transformation on his body. And also too, it's like, my younger brother, if he can do this, I can do this to you, or I should be able to do this to you. I can't let him beat me here. So that definitely really intrigued me though, to want to take that step into fitness, that leap into fitness. So that's what got me into the weightlifting side of things. Granted, I wasn't too, aware of what I was eating, or I was, but I just didn't really care too much about what I was putting in my body. And that was a huge issue, because like, again, workouts are important, but if your nutrition's not dialed in, you're not going to get the results you want. So I was doing some of the work, but I wasn't doing, even half of it, because my nutrition was out of whack. Like, I remembered I was eating a whole box of Twizzlers, even during that, literally a whole box of Twizzlers of candy, even when I was doing that weightlifting. So my weightlifting was good, but my nutrition was not. So that's what got me into the realm of fitness, at least with the exercise side of things. From there, yeah, definitely. And then from there, a couple other things got me into fitness even more. And this was what really not only locked in the workout side of things with, exercise, but also it locked in the nutritional side of things. And those were two things that did that. One of them being a lot more serious, really very serious. And just my grandpa, I was always very, very, very close to him when he was, here with us. And I was very, very, I could relate to him. I could relate to him a lot. I always remembered, I was big into Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a kid. I always grew up watching that with my family. My parents always showed me that. I collected almost every train probably you could imagine. Had literally a whole collection of that in like a little box, and it's pretty cool. And my grandpa, he actually was a huge mechanic type guy, so he was into trains heavily. And then I always remember going down to his basement. He had trains in his basement, toy trains and train tracks. It's pretty cool, like really, really neat, especially being a kid, seeing that. Sure. And then connecting with them on that side of things. And then also just in general, like his whole energy, his whole aurora, even, I could very much, get in tune with, connect with. He was very, very, just, we really were compatible, and I really enjoyed being around him. Like, he was a really cool guy to be around, really cool grandpa all around. But to get more into it though, it was a really sudden thing. And my mom just suddenly got a voicemail from her brothers who lived in Wisconsin, which is where my grandpa was living and where he's from. And of course, we were states away. We were in Arkansas. So like, that's several states down and away from Wisconsin. Right. But she got the news from her brothers that he, suddenly, sadly passed. We didn't quite know the cause right away, or at least my mom didn't. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they did, but we found out later, of course. But she told me the news, and then it hit me, like, it's like, wow, like, that, I mean, that's just one of those that's one of those things you don't expect to happen, especially just out of the blue, or in a sense out of nowhere, because that's what it feels like, at least. But yeah, we found that out, and then I found that out through my mom. We eventually headed up to Wisconsin for the funeral, and then basically also a family reunion out of that. But yeah, that was rough, I remembered, just that was one of the hardest things. Yeah, just being in the church with everyone, and it hit me, like, I remember breaking down and crying over that. I mean, as anybody or most people usually would. Some people hold that stuff in, which yes. I get, and I mean, that's everyone has a different way of dealing with it, but that was how it hit me just all of a sudden. So that was extremely, extremely tough and rough. But with that said, though, as hard as that all really was, it was also, if there was anything that good that came out of that, if you even want to say that, was that it at least inspired me to want to push forward and better my own health. So instead of eating, just everything, all the junk that I was eating before, anything and everything that I used to crave, I stopped craving because I cut that stuff out of my diet, and gradually I noticed I stopped craving, candies, sugar, Twizzlers, all that. Because my grandpa, the cause of death was cancer, and he was a huge, huge sugar addict. That's one of the many things that led to his cancer, and that's what they found out. And I realized, that's definitely not a good thing. I don't want to have that happen to me, because I knew that I was becoming, or I pretty much was already, a sugar addict myself at that point. And I would literally pick up anything that had a lot of sugar in it, and I would just eat it. And it's hard to get away from when you're already in that rhythm, so to speak, when you're already in that, consistent path of eating junk. It's hard to get away from that.
I think many people will recognize that struggle, right? I mean, it's real.
Yes.
It's
yeah.
Something that you're touching on that isn't, relatable for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, if there's one thing that's going to be relatable to everyone here, other than obviously, the hardship of losing someone you love, is the struggle of trying to get away from those junk foods, especially ones with sugar, because the sugar, that's what keeps people, sadly, and that's what keeps people coming back to that. But what I found that really worked, though, in that journey was just, gradually cutting it out of my diet. And that's what I did. And out of that, I not only was able to stop the cravings over time, but I was able to do it. I was actually able to do it without coming back to it. So that's what helped, just gradually cutting it out. And that's what got me on the journey of not just with the weightlifting for my brother, but then with my, healthy eating habits and living.
Right.
And that's what really helped. And then, of course, on the other side of things, after all that was said and done with my grandpa, I just researched like no tomorrow, really. I looked up every ingredient that I was consuming. I looked up the ingredient labels that I was, using from the foods. Like, I would literally research everything they put in our foods. And from there, I cut out a lot of foods. I cut out, every candy. I cut out all soda. I even cut out, a lot of foods and vegetables and fruits that were not organic. So basically anything with pesticides, I cut that out too, because I know that for a fact, not, straight away, but over time, that also can lead to illness. And I was like, I can't have that in my life. I got to be as healthy as possible. I want to live as long as possible. So many people don't understand, or they understand, but they don't really pay attention too close to it, that life is short as it is. And it's like, why shorten life being short? So it's like, it's already a short life. So why shorten the short life? I mean, that's.
No, I hear you. Roman, first of all, shout out for your dedication to wanting to put together a healthier life for yourself, and that kind of commitment, because that's really what it is. And then, I mean, and I should just for a moment, acknowledge the honor and honor you for, first of all, being vulnerable and sharing a story with your grandfather. As you're talking about your memories of your childhood, I could see you smiling and really lighting up. And so obviously that had an impact on you. So that to talk about that kind of loss, it's not an easy thing to do. So I want to acknowledge that and say thank you for sharing in that manner. We all have people have profound impacts in their lives, and clearly your grandfather was the case for you. So I appreciate the backstory, because that really provides a lot of really good context. The piece for me that I naturally want to sort of take it to is, you did all these things. Your brother inspired you. You got inspiration from the passing of your grandfather. You got yourself on this own journey. You eliminated all these crazy foods and got rid of sugar and all things to get yourself healthy. How do you make the transition to wanting to help others?
Yeah, and that's that's yeah, that was a huge transition. But what was really cool is what led me to that was after that all got me into fitness with my workouts and nutrition. I started getting, that feel good energy, or endorphins as they call it, and as I like to call it even. And when I started getting those endorphins from the weightlifting and exercise, that really, it gave me a rush, but it gave me a rush to not only want to keep doing that myself with that healthy addiction, as I like to call it, but it helped me want to do that for other people, because I didn't want other people around me to end up like my grandpa or other people I knew that also passed away. So that really, really put me in that, just mindset, that vision and mindset to just want to go all in and all out for myself and other people around me, starting with my sphere of influence. That's how I really finessed it from the get-go. After that, though, I wanted to branch out and help basically anyone and everyone that needed the help, one body at a time then. And that's when I started looking to doing online fitness coaching. And I was like, okay, this is like the future. This is great. And then, of course, I do know that I officially really went all out right around, it's crazy, but right around quarantine, really. That's when I really, really, really went hard with my online fitness coaching. And what's good about that, though, is most people were not even at the gym. So most people were looking to online trainers because they were trying to figure out, how do I stay fit? The gyms are closed or they're closing. I need a place to work out, or at least I need some direction. So my trainers are not even here. Like, who's going to help me? So that's when I started doing that. I mean, I was doing training a little before that, but that's when I really, really plugged my online fitness coaching.
Yeah.
And that was really good.
Well, listen, we heard all sorts of incredible things happen, during the pandemic and being in lockdown, and how the resiliency of individuals. So I can certainly relate to that. You talked about mindset. Let's tap into that a little bit, because
Yeah,
I think that's sort of the biggest area, or sometimes the biggest challenge for people. Because if you're framed in a certain way of thinking, in my viewpoint, and you can let me know your thoughts on this, but if you're framed your thinking is a certain way of thinking, and that's what your mindset is set on, and it's not dialed in a direction where you want to go. It doesn't matter how much work you do, the foods you eat, like all those things can't sustain itself because your thinking isn't done the right way.
exactly. Yeah, mindset, that's everything. I like to believe that whatever you do in life, you have to have the mindset first to back it up. Yes, you know, if you are wanting something, that's great. But if you don't have that proper full on mindset that's positive enough, it's not going to be easy, or at least really, I would even say it's really not going to be doable to stick with it, or to go all in and go all out and be dedicated. You have to really have a focused, concentrated, positive, limitless type of mindset to really succeed in life and whatever you do. But especially when it comes to fitness, as I understand, it's dedication. You got to be at that dedication station. Because if you're not dedicated, you're not going to see it through. And the mindset, that's what really gets you going to begin with. Because working out, I even know from personal experience that, lifting weights, it's obviously physical. It's a very much a physical thing, physical sport, but it's even more mindset, as weird as that sounds to some people, maybe, because if your mindset isn't locked in right, you're not going to get through that rep as easily. And I know from personal experience, yet again, that when I'm lifting weights,
Yep.
especially heavy weights, if my mind starts thinking and saying to myself, all right, I'm going to be done now with this rep, even if I have like 2 more reps, let's say I want to quit a rep early. If my mind's already saying it's going to quit that rep early, I'm going to quit that rep early. So it's crazy. It does sound cliche. It does sound a little, petty, but it's actually very, very accurate. Your mind has to be set the right way from the get-go, especially when it comes to fitness. because if your mind isn't locked in right, you're not going to get through that workout, or at least not as effectively as you could.
It's funny, like as you're talking about, like giving an example of weightlifting, it's almost like you read my mind. I'll go to the gym with a buddy of mine every so often, and I've been there where it's like, yeah, I got one left in me, and and it's like before I even get through that one, I want to be done.
Yeah.
And so and I think this is the advantage to having a partner, i.e. a coach alongside of you. Because my buddy be like, "What are you quitting for? Come on, let's go!" Right? And I'm like, "All right," and so that keeps you motivated. So I wonder if you could talk about the value of coaching as you're going through this kind of a process.
Yes. So really, more than anything, just like kind of what you were saying to bounce off of that, just having that accountability, or accountability partners, I even like to call it, just having that person guide you every single step of the way with the overall motivation, but then the consistency to back it up. Because I love to say motivation, it gets you going, but consistency keeps you growing. So literally, and that's both metaphorically and literally too. But yeah, you got to have that motivation, but you got to have that consistency to back it up. And that coach, coaches like myself or other coaches out there, those are the people, people like us, we're the ones that are going to keep you not just motivated, but consistent and very, very disciplined to see it through and to see it fit, to get fit. But yeah, definitely just that's one of the core things. And then of course, offering that extra knowledge to you for some people that don't quite know like how to work out or which muscle groups to hit, how often to hit those side muscle groups. Yeah. And then also, do I do cardio? Do I do weights? Which one do I do first? Right. All those types of things. And then of course, outside of the, fitness training side of things, the, meal plan side of things, just knowing your nutrition and like what to eat, how many calories, your macros, proteins, fats, carbs, like how much to eat of those, and how much water to drink, sleep to get, all those things. It's really valuable to you on that.
Yeah, I don't know. There's incredible benefits to coaching, and it can serve as a fabulous motivator to keep me going and keep pushing. Like I said, my buddy of mine, he curses me when I'm at the gym and pisses me off, and I can't keep going just to show him I can do it, right? But I mean, it's a playful kind of challenge, whatever gets, how we get to where you can get to. But no, certainly, he'll push me, and I'll do the same as well too. So it works hand in hand. When did you realize that you love coaching? Because here's the thing about it, like it's very, when you did a wonderful job explaining kind of your journey. So it's one thing to be doing it for yourself and wanting to better yourself, but to make that transition to others, it's very, very different.
Right. Oh yeah.
Right? I think you got to exercise a lot more patience with people and grace and encouragement. Whereas with yourself, it can be a bit more harder, I think, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. That's totally true. Yeah. So what really wanted me to do that for other people too, is knowing that for myself, I was able to help myself, not just with my mindset, but my overall physique transformation, going from more skinny to more muscular, right, especially after, a period of time. But what really made me want to make that leap to helping others was, other than not wanting them to meet the same fate as my grandpa, also just knowing that I could help them, and that I would love to just be that person that could say, hey, I was that, that coach, I was that guy that helped transform him to whatever physique they wanted. And then being able to see the transformation, that's what really, inspired me in my head visually, just knowing that I could see that transformation as time goes on, and then being able to then put it into practice and then actually see it come forth from my mind to actually reality. That's what really got me into it. And then as I started getting those clients that were getting those transformations, it basically addicted me all over again. Gotcha. It was a really, really, really cool thing. Very much a fascinating experience, Right. I mean, there's just nothing like helping people, especially with something as important as, health and fitness.
Sure. No, 100%. So on the theme of helping people, how do you help them when adversity comes? because that's a big one. Everyone knows all about challenges, adversity, and obstacles and setbacks.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah.
But when you're in the midst of, so they come to you, Roman. I'm gonna transform my life. I'm gonna transform my body. I'm gonna do all these wonderful things. And when adversity hits, how do you coach them through that?
Yes. So first, I just have them acknowledge whatever challenge they're facing. That way they can realize it's there and know that it's a real thing. Like you can't act like it's not there, because some people will try to basically ignore their problems or run away from them. So that never works. I hate to say it, but it just never works. So I always have them first and foremost acknowledge what they're facing, what they're dealing with before anything else. After that, I have them pinpoint, the root cause of it. And when they pinpoint the root cause of it, I have them take small steps to overcoming that obstacle. Because especially if it's a big, obstacle or challenge, it's a lot easier to tackle that and overcome that as a result if you break it into smaller, more manageable long-term goals. And that way, that makes it a lot easier to. Also, what I have them do is I have them journal just all the issues they're dealing with. And then from there, they can also write out, how they're going to, overcome it, how they're going to do better the next day.
Yep.
And another thing too that I've noticed that's not just helped me, but my clients too, is having them just think of, and especially saying and writing out everything they're grateful for. And that also in a overall, mindset shift sense, it helps them overcome it, because they're just more positive then as they start realizing, despite whatever obstacle they're, currently dealing with, all the stuff they're grateful and thankful for, that almost always, if not always, undermines all that, because they're thinking and really fixating on each little thing, even if it's the smallest of smallest things. They're really, really concentrating on what's making them grateful for, anything in their life. And as they start thinking about it, writing it and saying it, like, they notice a huge shift in their overall just aurora and, personality, and just overall energy with their positivity. So that's been a huge thing. That's really helped my clients for sure. And then I just have them just read it out. And I do like these coaching calls, so they read those on those coaching calls. So that's been very effective.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, very, very effective. And also and this is kind of cliche for some people, but I have them look in the mirror too. Not on the coaching call per se, but outside of the coaching call, I'll just tell them to look at themselves in the mirror and just say, stuff like, "You're a badass," or "You're awesome." Like literally have them talk to themselves type thing, but not in a weird way, but in a way where it really psychs them out into believing it. And that's good though, because even if you don't feel it, if you say it enough to yourself as if you're another person,
Yes,
it does something psychologically where you start believing it, because your mind's going to believe it after so many times of, dealing with it and saying it and hearing it. So that's another huge thing I do to really like psych themselves out, so to speak.
And why I think those are all great techniques. Sort of the affirmations, and the gratitude list. I'm a big fan of those. I do them myself, and so I really can attest to what it does for you. But what I really think is great about the things that you do with your clients is it's not something that you do kind of just when adversity comes, right?
Right.
These are things that you're doing to fortify and strengthen yourself. So when it does come, we all know it will. So when it does come, you're better equipped for that, and not to say it doesn't sort of bring you down, but you just don't stay down as long, right? So you bounce back, but your resiliency gets better. So that's what I love about those techniques that you talked about.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also just as a consistent thing, just like 2 days a week, or at least 1 day a week, just depending on the client schedule. I usually do 2 days a week with each client though, for coaching calls, hour each. And I just have them at the very end of the calls. I just have them really voice and write down, their wins for the week. That helps them stay motivated and more consistent throughout that week and the next week. And then also I have them write out, or at least say, if not also write out, everything that they're going to even do better for next week. And that's also really helped just keep them accountable. And it's kept that fire, going inside of them too.
Nice. That's awesome. I think the stuff that you're doing and the approach you're taking, Roman, is phenomenal. And I think when you're especially for individuals who've got a specific goal for themselves, right? So this transformation goal to help them get to that point and they feel better about themselves. Again, very much in line with this podcast because it allows them to live their best audacious life. And you're just sort of being the vehicle to help them get there. So congratulations on the phenomenal work.
Yeah, thanks.
That's really good stuff. For listeners who want to connect with you or learn more about your work, or perhaps even work with you, where can we send them?
Yes. So yeah, you can just find me at my direct website, romanfisherofficial.com, or you can connect with me on social media at, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube at my handle, Roman Fischer Official.
Got you. Well, Roman, listen, this has been awesome. Thank you for sharing it. And again, congrats on the great work. Because again, the helping people get to that place is just a phenomenal feeling for them. And I can imagine for a coach how good that would feel too. So yeah, congrats, man. Thank you for being here.
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure being here for sure.
Great. Be well. Take care. Back, we are here on the podcast, and much thanks and appreciation goes out to Roman for stopping by and sharing his journey with all of us, and really, why it's so important to him to help others meet their fitness goals. If you are interested in connecting with Roman and learning more about his work or working with him, possibly, certainly can go head over to his website. We've got the show note, we've got those details in our show notes, so definitely check him out. I really appreciated the conversation I had with Roman, but if there's one thing I take from our chat, it'd have to be this. In the journey of life, we're often confronted with obstacles and setbacks that can seem insurmountable. Whether it's our personal or professional lives, challenges are an inevitable part of the human experience. However, what sets successful individuals apart is not the absence of obstacles, but rather their mindset and approach towards overcoming them. The power of mindset in achieving success and conquering challenges cannot be overstated, as it serves as a driving force behind our actions and decisions. Mindset is a powerful determinant of one's ability to navigate through life's ups and downs. At its core, mindset refers to the established set of attitudes and beliefs that shape an individual's perception of themselves and the world around them. Two prevalent mindsets that have been extensively studied are the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. Individuals with a fixed mindset tend to believe that their abilities and intelligence are a static trait and they can't be changed. They may shy away from challenges or fear of failure, and setbacks are often perceived as a reflection of inherent limitations. On the other hand, those with a growth mindset understand their abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. They view challenges as opportunities for growth and resilience, and setbacks are seen as temporary obstacles that can be overcome with effort and perseverance. The impact of mindset on achievement and success is profound. Those with a growth mindset are more likely to embrace challenges, take risks, and persist in the face of adversity. They are driven by a belief in their capacity for improvement and are resilient when confronted with setbacks. In contrast, individuals with a fixed mindset may limit their own potential by avoiding challenges and giving up easily when faced with obstacles. In conclusion, the significance of a mindset in achieving success and overcoming challenges cannot be overlooked. By fostering a growth mindset, individuals can unlock their potential, embrace challenges as opportunities for growth, and persist in the pursuit of their aspirations. As we navigate the complexities of life, let us remember that our mindset shapes our reality, and by cultivating a growth-oriented perspective, we can surmount obstacles and achieve audacious feats. We've sadly come to the end of another episode of the most audacious podcast the internet has to offer, and as always, I send my thanks and appreciation to all those lovers of audaciousness for their support. As always, I say thank you. Until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You